Zayn Owens set for Elimination Chamber.
Flair picked Stratton, to no one's surprise.
And Damian Priest beats Strowman and Fatu, but only after interference. Hello, welcome to Wrestle MSX. I'm Michael.
I'm Sally.
Vic Joseph from NXT replaces Joe Tess on comms tonight, and after a recap of last week, out comes Cody Rhodes straight from his office job in the city. Cody asks the crowd who will wrestle him at Mania and reels off a few names: Logan Paul,
Booed.
CM Punk,
Cheered.
Drew McIntyre,
Few boos.
and John Cena.
Cheered.
Rhodes then tells us it's not going to be Solo Sikoa as he's not in any Elimination Chamber qualifying matches. So out comes the Scottish Warrior. Drew accuses Cody of making it personal. Cody says he can count on one hand the men that have beaten him since he's returned to WWE, with Drew being one of them. The two then square up, only to be disrupted by Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. Now I thought this may have been a tag match later, but it's not. Fatu says he's going to win the chamber, beat Cody at WrestleMania, and bring the title back to his family. Drew squares up to Jacob, saying he thinks this is something that people want to see. A psychopath and a werewolf throw down right now. The crowd get excited, as do I, before Drew adds, "It's not going to happen because I earned my spot in the chamber already. Cody, I think he wants to talk to you." Drew then leaves the ring. I do enjoy Drew. "Say when," Cody tells Jacob as he eyes up the gold, before telling him when is when you qualify for the Elimination Chamber. Beat everyone and then you and I can fight over this. On the Titantron behind them, we see a car pull up. Out steps Solo Sikoa. Jacob and Tama then leave the ring to go and speak with their boss.
We see a trailer for Vengeance Day. Well, we did in the UK. Don't know about elsewhere. Before we come back, we see Tama asking a backstage hand where Solo is. The backstager says he went that way, with Tama heading in the direction pointed. Before we see Fatu approach the same backstage hand and beat him up.
Why?
Wade Barrett then interviews Trish Stratus, who's at ringside. He asks her for her thoughts on the Elimination Chamber and if she's going to make an appearance. She is excited about the chamber, and yes, she'll be there.
First match of the night, Chelsea Green versus Naomi in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match. Secret Hervis with Green, Belair with, of course, Naomi. Naomi hits 3 pin attempts at the get-go, clearly showing her intentions. Green then escapes the ring after a 4th pin attempt, with Naomi slamming after her, missing and then eating a big boot. We must have had a break at this point, as the next thing we see is Green being knocked off the middle rope and Naomi hitting a crossbody from the top rope.
Naomi then went to town on Green, finishing with a split-legged moonsault, but missed. Green took advantage, hitting the glow star with a rough-looking Rough Rider, but only got a 2 count on the follow-up pin. After exchanging more pin attempts, Green hit a backcracker and got a 2 count. After a messy-looking Unprettier from the middle rope, Naomi X-Factored Green and hit the split-legged moonsault and covered her for the win.
We'll hear from Sami Zayn next. His neck's not great, and he feels that the package pile driver Owens delivered to him on Raw a few weeks ago was Owens trying to end his career, all because Zayn didn't help KO cheat to win a match, in reference to the ladder match Owens had with Rhodes at the Royal Rumble. Sami doesn't know when he'll be cleared, but when he is, he's coming for KO. You have been warned.
We learn of Michelle McCool being entered into the Hall of Fame before our next match. Motor City Machine Guns versus Los Gaza.
Motor City take an early lead. Shelley sending Umberto out the ring before we see the usual double team moves on Angel. Shelley's then about to launch himself out the ring at his foes when Los Gaza recover, kicking Motor City and stopping their onslaught. Back from the break, the board's been reset with everyone back in their starting positions as we see Shelley super kicking Garza, with the two then tagging out, bringing in Sabin and Umberto. Sabin softens up Umberto and then tags in Shelley, with Motor City then double teaming and ending with a cover, but only for a 2.
Los Gaza then hit their double team special with Umberto covering Sabin for 2. For those following, yes, Shelley did tag Sabin. Garza hits his moonsault to the outside onto Shelley, with Humberto moonsaulting Sabin. Only he gets a face full of boot and rolls out the ring. Sabin follows, diving out the ring and wiping out both of his opponents. The Gunners then roll Humberto back into the ring, hit Skull and Bones and pick up the victory, with Shelley covering Humberto for the 1, 2, 3.
We get a vignette from Damian Priest next, saying he only needs himself.
Back from the break, we see a rampaging Fatu on the hunt for Solo, when he comes across him in the locker room. Solo's dressed in all white, so you know he's not just a bad guy. He's a super bad guy. Solo asks him what's been going on. Solo says he let the family down with him losing the Ula fella, but he's ready to go and take over. Solo tells Jacob it starts with him, qualifying for the chamber, winning, and then bringing the title back to the family. Jacob turns to walk off, but Solo grabs his arm and tells him he loves him, before Jacob and Tama walk off.
I like that. I wonder if he's learned his lesson. Instead of just beating everyone, he's trying to be a bit sweeter. I like that. Anyway, out next, the United States champion, Shadow Shinsuke Nakamura. And he's been watching from the shadows. His words, not mine. Praying for a worthy challenger. He babbles on for a bit when out comes LA Knight. Now, back in the day, a jobber would have come out, got destroyed, and we'd move on.
Yep.
Problem is, they're all in NXT, and you can't really job them out because you'd make them look weak, especially with Jobber School being televised. Jobbers, don't forget, will do their job, and then you'd never see them again. Or they'd go back to developmental, which would have been NXT all those years ago, to develop their skills and come back at maybe a later date as somebody else or the same person.
Or whatever,
But you can't job them out now because it's all on the TV.
Anyway, Knight spouts off about Shinsuke looking for a test, with Knight claiming Shinsuke has already failed the test while stepping in the ring. As he squares up to Nakamura, the Miz's music hits. Miz calls the crowd basic before asking them, you know who's worthy. Knight cuts him off, telling him to take a page out of John Cena's book and start a farewell tour, as he's not been relevant for about 10 years.
This was funny from Knight.
Miz feigns crying, with Knight saying he and Drew are at the top of the crybaby bitches. Miz calls for a title shot, with Knight calling him a dork. Miz jumps Knight, Knight goes for BFT, but Miz escapes the ring, removes his coat and then gets back on the apron to fight LA. We then hear Nick Aldis' voice and he makes the Miz versus Knight for right now, Shinsuke at ringside.
Nothing happens for the first 3 minutes of the match, well, apart from Miz ducking in and out of the ring, because we're on an advert and they know they can't really do much. When we do get underway, Knight's in control, goes for BFT, but gets pushed away and dropped on the ropes. A neckbreaker by Miz gets him a 2 count, with the action then heading out the ring and Knight bouncing Miz's head off the announcer's table. Nakamura heads over, LA trash talks him, with Miz using the distraction to his advantage and beating up Knight. The two get back in the ring, with Miz laying in kicks and going for a suplex. Knight counters into a neckbreaker and covers for 2.
We end up back outside the ring where Miz helps himself to someone's popcorn. Before we go inside the ropes and see Knight assert his dominance with a slam, elbow and cover for 2. Miz responds with a flatliner for 2 and then DDT, also for 2. Knight then hits BFT from nowhere, following up from the top rope elbow. Knight then covers and pins the Miz, picking up the victory. Shinsuke then gets in the ring where he butts heads with Knight before exiting again.
I bet that popcorn wasn't cheap. At least $20. It was a massive bucket. Anyway, backstage we see Nia Jax talking with Candice LeRae when Alexa Bliss pops up. Bliss says if you win the title tonight and I win the Elimination Chamber, there's a chance we could be facing each other, saying it'd be fun if they had another WrestleMania rematch. While she's saying this, the screen glitches, obviously the Wyatts. Bliss wishes Jax good luck before heading off. Now, one of the images that flicked up said, "Do you feel in charge?" I didn't see much else, but that's all we've got. There are plenty of other people that do stuff on this. Yeah. I like the Wyatts to start with. I find them a bit boring now. It's same old, same old. I want to see them.
Yeah.
I don't want this.
I don't just want to flickers, yeah.
But I'm sure there's other places you can find out exactly what it was, but that's all we saw.
Back from the break, we see The Miz walking through backstage when he's approached by Andrade. Andrade says he can teach The Miz something if he wants to before walking off. As he goes, The Miz looks to his left and sees Carmelo Hayes. Hayes says that people like that don't respect talent like them, with The Miz saying they should team up, adding, Melo don't Miz.
I thought that was quite good.
Yeah, I did like it. Miz goes for a fist bump. Melo just walks off.
R-Truth against Carmelo Hayes next. This evolved from an earlier spat between the two while Hayes was getting a haircut, and as usual, Truth got his wires crossed. A springboard clothesline from Melo drops Truth, but he then takes too long to do anything else. Then Truth's able to go through his John Cena repertoire before readying the 5-knuckle shuffle. As Truth comes off the ropes, Melo springs up and delivers a super kick followed by a codebreaker. I mean, it was a double knees to the face, and all the commentator says was bam. Nice. Melo finishes Truth off with nothing but net, covers him and picks up the win.
We get another vignette from the Street Profits. They're going to put all the other tag teams in the dirt.
We then go backstage to see Byron Saxton with Pretty Deadly. Saxton asks how they feel about having a tag title shot next week. Prince says they feel exquisite, with Wilson saying they're done with being underestimated. When DIY show up. Gargano says he's disappointed, with Ciampa saying their dreams of becoming champions is dead.
Kevin Owens up next.
Is he in his car?
From his car.
Ah.
He says he's not doing good, and then tells Sami he doesn't know what real pain is, but he'll show him. KO tells Sami, cleared or not, find him at Elimination Chamber. So I pencil that in as a little match there.
Oh, a little. Yeah, that'll be a match. Or, yeah, it won't finish and then it'll go to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
The Women's WWE Championship is on the line next as Tiffany Stratton defends against Nia Jax. LeRae with Jax and Charlotte Flair in the back watching on. Jax woman handles Stratton, then covers her for 2 after a pop-up headbutt. Stratton comes back with a tumbling handspring and drop kick to Nia's leg, but Jax comes back with a pop-up Samoan drop and leg drop, covering for 2. Jax continues to beat up Tiffany, introducing her to 3 of the 4 top turnbuckles head first before Stratton fights back, smashing Jax's head into the turnbuckle and getting a 1 count. We get a rest move then, as we're obviously in an ad break in America, with Jax doing her best Hogan impression just to kill a little bit more time. Yeah, she was awful at it.
We got a couple of sloppy moves then, with Stratton sort of sliding down Jax into a pin after Jax had picked her up, and then Stratton seemingly picking up Jax and throwing her to the mat.
So strong.
A double stomp then gets Stratton a 2 count cover, which she follows with her tumbling handsprings into the corner. Only Jax catches her, throws her to the mat and leg drops her for 2. Jax decides to go up top, but Stratton slips Nia's clutches and gets her hung up in the Tree of Woe and then stomps her from the top rope, following up with a cover for 2. After a fight on the top rope, Jax manages to Samoan drop Tiffy time, but still can't get the job done, as Stratton kicks out on the cover on 2. Jax heads to the middle rope next, leg dropping the champion, with Stratton again kicking out on 2.
I thought she was done for. I mean, she wouldn't be, but in any normal circumstances, she'd have been done. Jax goes to the turnbuckle again, this time looking for the Annihilator, but Stratton gets up and powerbombs Jax to the mat. The cover gets 2. The crowd chant, "This is awesome," which it is to be fair, as Jax sit-down powerbombs Stratton and covers for 2. We head outside next where Stratton lands a moonsault on Jax before throwing her back in the ring and dropping a swanton on her from the top turnbuckle, covering for 2. After a teased Annihilator by Jax and teased powerbomb from Stratton, we get back in the middle of the ring where Stratton hits a spinebuster, apparently. With Jax down, Stratton heads up top. But as she makes her way up to the ropes, LeRae trips her, causing the referee to call for the bell due to outside interference. Boo.
LeRae knocks Stratton's head into the turnbuckle, with Jax then squashing her into the corner and following up with an Annihilator. LeRae heads for a chair while Jax heads up again. Stratton has help though in the shape of Trish Stratus, with Stratus fighting off LeRae and pushing Jax off her perch. As Stratus checks on Stratton, LeRae regroups and fights with Stratus in the corner. As they do, Jax makes a comeback and squashes Trish in the corner before leg dropping Stratton once again. As Jax and LeRae head up the rampway, out comes Charlotte Flair. She gets in the ring, sets up the chair LeRae threw in and sits down. She tells Stratton to sit up before saying, "The Queen chooses you. I'll see you at WrestleMania." Now I can see a tag match with Stratton and Stratus against Jax and LeRae at Elimination Chamber, definitely.
I mean, well done. Tiffany Stratton, Trish Stratus. Oh my word. That is a tongue twister, isn't it? Stratus Stratton. Funny how they got the same starting initials for the...
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
Anyway, backstage we see Nick Aldis on the phone when Bianca Belair and Naomi walk in. He tells them there's been a development in the Jade Cargill incident.
Ooh.
And that he has a video he wants to show them, which he then plays. After fumbling pressing play, or someone not pressing play in the production truck, and someone dropping something off screen, we finally see the video. As we watch, Jade loaded into the back of the ambulance after being attacked. The phone footage we have pans to the left, where we see Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez walking off.
Ooh.
We don't see the faces,
No.
but it's probably them. Belair says she and Naomi will be paying them a visit on Raw. So that'll be backstage shenanigans.
Definitely.
Because they're not just going to set a match up.
No. Back from the break, Byron Saxton catches up with Stratton backstage and asks what her reaction is to Flair choosing her at WrestleMania. Stratton says Flair will know when it's Tiffy time, when Trish Stratus rolls up. Stratus proposes a match with them against Jax and LeRae. Didn't I not just suggest this? Which Stratton agrees to.
Next, we see Jimmy Uso watching from backstage when Drew McIntyre appears next to him. Drew winds Jimmy up, saying he can see that he's angry and that his career is really bad at the moment, with a plus being that he married up. As Jimmy walks off, Drew says, "Is it something I said, Jay?" with Jimmy coming back and super kicking the Scottish Warrior.
Strowman then warns Rhodes he's coming for him before heading to the ring for the last match of the night. A triple threat Elimination Chamber qualifying match between Damian Priest, Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu. After a stare-off, the action begins, with all three fighting one another before Priest and Fatu send Strowman out the ring. With him gone, the pair then go at it, knocking 7 shades of out of one another before Fatu drops Priest by running into him and then tells him to get up. The two then exchange forearm smashes before Strowman re-enters the fray, crossbodies both of them, and then sends them over the top rope.
We see some out-of-ring action while the US take a break, with Priest heading back in and hitting a broken arrow on Fatu, as Wade Barrett tells us he's hungry for love. Thank you, Wade. Braun squashes Fatu in the corner, then whips Priest into another. Fatu then whips Strowman into another before we're back outside, with Priest and Fatu fighting at the announcer's desk. Fatu then uses the ring steps on Braun before heading back into the ring to face off against Priest. Priest tries to chop down Jacob, but Jacob's having none of it. That is until Priest hits a spinning heel kick and puts him down.
Strowman reappears on the apron, but Priest knocks him off and goes for old school on Fatu, or rather tries to, as Strowman grabs him by the neck. Fatu pushes Braun off the apron and works Priest into a Samoan drop before diving through the ropes at Strowman, sending him over the announcer's desk. Fatu quickly climbs to the top rope and swantons Priest, covering for 2. Priest and Fatu then find themselves on the top rope, with Strowman coming back and powerbombing Fatu while Fatu superplexes Priest.
Standard spot with it again. Strowman then levels Fatu, hitting him with a massive back body drop and sending him out the ring. Priest, already out of the ring, hits a flatliner on the Samoan Werewolf onto the announcer's desk, with Strowman then charging in and sending Priest over the desk. Braun chokeslams Fatu onto the announcer's desk, which still doesn't break as we head back into the ring. 2 super kicks and 3 hip attacks do for Strowman, with Fatu then heading out the ring for a chair and getting back in. Fatu places the chair around Strowman's neck and lines up for another hip attack. As Fatu runs at the monster among men, Strowman manages to stop Jacob with a kick before using the chair against him.
Strowman then places the chair around Jacob's neck before shouting an eye for an eye at him. Braun backs up to the opposite corner, ready to deal the fatal blow when he's Samoan spiked. Of course, it's Solo. With Strowman down, Fatu hits a moonsault, but it takes it out of him as both men are now down in the ring. Just then, WWE's own Captain America runs out,
On point.
Cody Rhodes, and starts laying into Solo, with Tama then blindsiding Rhodes. Tama then holds Rhodes for a spike, but Rhodes ducks with Solo spiking Tonga instead. Fatu sees this and turns on Solo, with the two seemingly about to throw down. Priest, though, pushes Fatu into Solo and then sends Jacob into the ring announcer's area, with Rhodes hitting a crossroads to Solo. Priest gets back in the ring, south of Heaven Strowman, and covers him for the 1, 2, 3. Rhodes gets in the ring after the match and shakes Priest's hand, with the two of them then looking at the WrestleMania sign. SmackDown goes off the air with Priest saluting to the crowd.
Not bad. Just a standard SmackDown. Nothing to get excited about. Nothing poor. It's, you know, I mean, I'm not keen either, even on Flair and Stratton at all. I think...
Yeah. It's pushed too much in it.
As fans, we want organic scenarios.
Yeah.
And this is not organic. She's come back, yeah, you can win the Rumble, yeah, you can just go straight for the belt.
Yeah.
I don't think we like to be force-fed. But I'll elaborate more on Wednesday's video.
Any thoughts or views you'd like to share, then please feel free to leave them in the comment section down below.
Don't forget to go to check out our Opinions and Thoughts video. A new one drops every Wednesday. Thank you again for watching.
And we'll see you Tuesday for Raw.